Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you lending me those wonderful ears of yours. Hey, today I want to talk about, staying motivated, right? Trying to find a way to stay connected with enthusiasm. You ever feel that? You ever feel like you just can't get excited about what you're doing, and you're just like not in the mood to make the phone calls, to do the, to have the conversations, do the presentations, and then all that leads to is you questioning yourself. See, it all begins with doubt, right? When we're not motivated, that's where doubt actually seeps in, and that doubt comes from, I don't know, maybe you recently lost a deal. Or maybe you've called several clients and nobody's returned your call. And all of a sudden, you start to doubt yourself. You start to doubt your abilities. And if you're selling a product or service, obviously you start doubting whether your product or service is worth anybody else's time. And then that doubt ripples into dodging, I call it. Dodging is when you just avoid things. You know how you're just like, I'm not going to make any calls today. I'm just going to take a day off. Mental health day, right? Then you take another day off and another day, or you only make so many calls. You make 2 when you should have made 10 calls. You made 20 when you should have made 50. And all of a sudden, because you're not doing what you have to be doing, you're dodging your responsibilities, obviously the consequences are that you're not going to get any deals. Your sales are not going to go forward. You're not going to move forward. And all of a sudden, that's when disappointment kicks in. And when disappointment kicks in, it leads to one thing. More doubt. More doubt leads to more dodging. More dodging leads to more disappointment. You get the idea. It's really hard to stay connected. And sometimes we feel that no matter what we're trying, doesn't work. Do you feel that way? Because, I have days like that also. I want you to know that Victor Antonio has those days also. And so one of the things I remind myself, and I want to share this with you because maybe it'll help you. One of the things I like to do when I don't feel like, I'm motivated, I begin to ask myself, why do I do what I do? It's a good question, isn't it? Why do I do what I do? Is it to make money? Yes, that's a good motivator. But is it enough? No. Why do I do what I do? And when I start thinking about reasons of why I do what I do, that's when I can feel the motivation juice kicking back up, right? I can feel it coming in because I want you to listen to this phrase. In order to stay motivated, you need to understand the value more than you do the product. Let me say that again because this is important. You need to understand the value of what you offer more than the product that you offer. In other words, too often we're worried or concerned about selling a product or a service when we should be focused on the value it delivers. Now, I know I'm not telling you something you don't already know, but sometimes you need reminding. And I'm here to remind you that understanding the value trumps selling the product. In other words, understanding the value, not the product, is where that motivational, that energy is going to come from. I want you to ask yourself your question. What does your product or service do for a client? What does it do for them? What does it do for the company? What does it do for the people? What does it do for the people in the company? Ask yourself that question. See, our default is, and this is a good thing, our default as human beings is to help. It is to serve. Now, when I say serve, I don't mean do it for free. I mean serve with value. In other words, I give you value, you give me value in return. I sell you a great product, you pay me in return. That's what I mean by value for value. But our default, our human default, is to help. Now, think about this. Don't shoo this thought away very quickly. I want you to really think about this. If our default as human beings is to help, then maybe we shouldn't fight that. Let's go with the default, the path of least resistance. If our path of least resistance, our default mode is to help, then let's go with it. What do I mean by that? Let me tie it back to product and service and motivation. Ask yourself again, really take time to really think through this. How does your product help your customers? How does it help a company? But really think about it. Again, don't just it helps them, be more efficient and things like that. No, go deeper than that. When I do sales training, I always ask myself, when I'm losing that motivational energy, how does my service, or if you're on the Sales Velocity Academy, how does my product or service help an individual, entrepreneur, small business owner, or a large company, or its employees, or salespeople in general? I ask myself that question. How does it help them? Right now, you may be driving or sitting at your desk and you're not feeling motivated, and you're hearing this. And I'm here to help you because that's my default. That's our default. See, as long as I frame this conversation, as long as I frame my product, as long as I frame my service in terms of how it helps people, that is the reminder I need that keeps me motivated. Too often, the reason we lose the motivation is because we don't understand the value. We understand the product or the service, but we truly do not understand the value. In my past podcasts, I've mentioned how I see value in terms of my sales training. I know that if I deliver great sales training to a great company with great salespeople, and I can help them increase their revenue, let's be conservative, by 5%. 5%. How would that help that individual salesperson? I can guarantee you they'll probably keep their job and make more money. But how does that help the company? Well, the company is now growing. And there's people working for the company. So my job as a salesperson, or a sales trainer rather, is to help salespeople sell more effectively. If they do, then they themselves will make more money. They themselves will be able to support their family, send their kids to college, so forth and so on. But also the company prospers. Because the company prospers, their business grows. Because their business grows, people who work for that company are employed. Why? Because salespeople move the revenue needle. And that's what I do. I help salespeople move the revenue needle. That's my value. And that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me doing these podcasts. So let me ask you a question. What is your value driver? Why do you do what you do? Again, remember, we are here to help people. That's our default mode. How do you help people, entrepreneurs, small business, or companies? Begin to define that. And that's where you're going to find and tap into that motivational energy you need to stay motivated and keep on selling. And that is it for this Sales Influence podcast. Don't forget to leave me some feedback on iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. Let me know what you think. I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, check out my online sales training platform, the Sales Velocity Academy. We got a lot of courses, a lot of great videos to help you sell more faster. Go to salesvelocityacademy.com. Lastly, I want to thank you for listening. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care. Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.